Hello, welcome to this next episode of Learning Live at HID Academy. It's almost Christmas time. I hope you're all getting prepared and in the mood for the festive season or whatever you do at this time of year. But we've got a great topic to go through and take us out of 2025. It's one that we get asked about a lot, so we thought we'd get this one in. And we're going to be doing a lot more in this kind of topic as we move forward in 2026. Before we do any of that, can I just do a little bit of housekeeping and just say that if you haven't already, don't forget to give us a like on the video. That's if you feel that we deserve it, give us a thumbs up. Do be sure to subscribe to either the LinkedIn page or the YouTube channel, and that way you'll get notifications of everything that's coming through ahead of time, so you can make sure you can put it into your diary. And of course, if you know someone who would enjoy this content but doesn't already watch it, then please do share the links around to your colleagues and to your friends, even to your family maybe, and they can join in the fun as well. Now, once we get through the topic, we will be taking some questions at the end. So if you have anything that you need to ask, try and save it till the end, and we'll have some time set aside for that. But if you do have a question, can you preface it with a large capital Q? And that just helps me and my old eyesight pick it out and put it into the question bucket, and then we'll pull it out at the appropriate time. So if you have a question, just preface it with a big capital Q so that I can see it. That would help me greatly. Thank you very much indeed. If you have any questions about the topic today or anything at all to do with training at HID Academy, then you can contact us at this very email address right here, training@hidglobal.com. And you send us an email there. It's pretty much manned 24 hours because we have colleagues across the globe. So there's always somebody there to answer it. And if we can't answer it straight away, we will get the answer to you as soon as possible. And if you haven't discovered the HID Academy Learning Centre and all that we have to offer, then do make sure you go to hidglobal.com/training, where you'll be able to log into or sign up for access to the HID Academy Learning Centre, and you'll have access to literally hundreds of courses, certifications, videos, all sorts of learning content that will help you in your role, whatever it might be. We cover all of our business areas, from physical access control to secure card issuance and identity and access management services, and further such related topics. So do make sure you go over there and sign up for that if you could. Right, that's enough of the housekeeping. My name's Rob Puricelli. I'm an instructional designer with the HID Academy and the regular host of these live streams. I am also joined today by one of my colleagues, and we have a very special guest. But first of all, I will bring my colleague Iain in. Iain, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Rob. And hello to everyone who's watching. My name's Iain, and I'm an instructor and courseware developer with the HID Academy, based on the south coast of England in the UK.
Excellent. Are you all ready for Christmas? That's the important question today.
Oh, good question.
We've still got a week to go, so you've got time. Anyway, good to see you, mate, and we will be coming back to you very shortly, but we will now just go over and introduce our very special guest. He's been on the show before, and we love to have him on because he really enthuses us with his passion for the subject matter. It is the one and only Phil Coppola. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be. How are you?
Hello, New Jersey in the United States, and it is 11:35. So, good morning.
Good morning. And how are you? Are you well? Are you prepared for Christmas?
Yeah, all the gifts are almost all wrapped and under the tree. I consider that a win on December 17th.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here. We always enjoy your company here. And just to let everyone know, this show is basically about mobile credentials and what are the myths and can we bust them for you. So we'll be looking at the myths and misconceptions, I guess. But Iain, if I can just hand it over to you to kind of give us a gist of the thing. And I'm going to pretty much sit back here and let you two guys talk about this stuff, and I'll do all the hard work in the background. So over to you, Iain.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob. Well, as we all know, mobile credentials reside in mobile phones as opposed to cards or key fobs. And over the years, since this has become more mainstream, there's a few misconceptions arisen over the years. And Phil and I would like to try and bust a few of these for you. So let's get started. The first point we want to talk about is mobile phones. Is a stolen mobile phone really bad for security? Or is a building still secure? What would you like to say about this, Phil?
Oh boy, you say just the right thing to like wind me up and just get me going. I know we only have like a half an hour for this, so I'm gonna do my best to keep my my answers as tight as possible here. But this is one that I could talk about for a long time, so I will do my best to temper. No, it does not mean your facility is less secure if somebody loses their phone. Now, do people lose their phones? Sure, sometimes. I would posit that people are far more likely to lose their plastic card, or at least forget their plastic card. This is one of those that we hear all the time, especially in the large enterprises around the world, and even some small places too. They have issues with people forgetting their cards or losing their cards. And the biggest risk, in my opinion, as a physical security professional, is that every time a card is lost or compromised, it represents a vulnerability. It represents risk because we don't know who's going to pick up that card and attempt to gain access to your facility. In fact, I was in New York City last week, and we actually had an end user building, commercial real estate building, tell us that literally that is exactly what happened to them recently, where a visitor dropped their card, or actually threw their card out. Like, don't even get me started on that one, but they literally went throughout the building throughout the course of the day and then tossed their card in the trash. Now, the card was still good, valid for the rest of the day, and somebody actually picked that card up out of the trash and was able to gain access to their facility. So that's one of those things that we say is possible, but to hear from an end user that that's actually something that they've experienced is actually quite scary. Now, when you look at the phone, first of all, in an emergency, you're far more likely to remember this than a physical card. But also, if I lose my phone, I am panicked. All my pictures of my kids are on there. My credit cards are there. Everything that I do for work is on there. So what am I going to do? If I were an iOS user or an Android user, I'm running to the Find My or Find My Device service, and I'm turning that thing off remotely. At which point, everything's deprovisioned, right? The card no longer works. The stuff in your wallet no longer works. It's completely self-service in that regard. Now, when you get a new phone, we can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of remote provisioning of a mobile credential, but again, far easier. So if the question is does a stolen phone represent risk? I would say less than that of a physical card, but there's more options. And by the way, the other piece of this too is like, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more, is retrieval. What about terminated employees? What about people that don't belong in your organization anymore? How do you get that card back? It's really hard to do. Whereas with a mobile credential, once it's deprovisioned from the cloud, it is remotely taken off their phone, which we can have a whole side conversation about that.
It's actually a very good point, isn't it? Because when you lose your phone, like you say, the first thing you do is report it, decommission it, turn it off remotely. And with a card, you just go, I just lost that. Okay.
And there's other options as well. You can't use the card. Sometimes you can set the phone that you have to put your password in before the card is used.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
yeah, more security. Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant.
So,
Iain.
Yeah. When we're comparing mobile credentials with cards and key fobs, how do they actually stack up? I mean, in relation to the cost of provisioning these things and the operational efficiency of them, I would say that mobile has more advantages. Can you go into those in a bit more detail?
Yeah. So this is always the question is around price, right? And rightly so, because as an industry, we have a lot of longstanding traditions. And one of those traditions is around the plastic card. And we're going sort of through this new paradigm shift. And whenever that happens, like, well, how much is this going to cost me? And HID has actually taken a lot of steps to dispel that concern, not the least of which being in the last 12 to 18 months, we've actually had a price reduction to bring the cost of a mobile credential in line with a CIOS card. So not like a Prox card, not like an iClassic, but like the most secure version of HID credential technology is CIOS. That's the physical card that we would love everybody to use because, again, we consider that to be of highest security. We've now brought the credential itself in parity with the price of a CIOS card. So from a dollars for dollars perspective, it's really not that big of a difference. There's also a larger story that we can get into later, maybe around wallet and also around the cost of provisioning physical cards, which kind of goes away when we start the self-service provisioning of a mobile credential.
Okay, and also they are more secure, as I mentioned. Maybe setting the mobile access app to require a biometric password or a PIN to enable the card to be used. So would you agree that they are definitely more secure than cards or fobs?
Yeah, absolutely. So from so many different perspectives. So yes, absolutely. Like securing the credential behind a password or face or fingerprint is way more secure than just having a card wrapped around your neck that anybody can kind of pick up and tap. The phrase that I've been using a lot lately is the physical credential program is a credential based on hope, right? I hope that the person I give this card to is going to use it correctly. I hope that they bring it to the office. I hope they don't lose it. I hope that if they do lose it, they report it quickly. And I hope that if they do lose it, the person that picks it up is not a bad actor. Whereas a mobile credential is actually based on trust. And in certain circumstances, especially with wallet or with managed devices, it can be based around zero trust, right? We need to trust the device itself, make sure it's not jailbroken, make sure it's running the latest version of the OS in order for the credential to still be live and valid, which is something that you simply can't do from a physical credential perspective. And I know I'm beating up on physical cards here. There's absolutely still a time and a place for them. And maybe we could talk about that a little bit as well. But I also wanted to bear down a little bit more on this because from a security of transmission perspective, there's also a lot more there. So again, this is a CIOS card on your phone, whether that's in an app or if that's in the wallet. It's at its core, it's a CIOS credential, and CIOS has lots of encryption behind it, but also now you pick up the added security of Bluetooth and of NFC. And I can already hear some of you say, added security of Bluetooth. How could he say such a thing? Bluetooth's not secure. That is correct. Bluetooth as a protocol is meant to be open to make it easy to connect things like AirPods to an iPhone quickly. But with the way that HID is implemented, the in-app credential using Bluetooth, what we actually do is we set up almost like a virtual private network between reader and device using encryption keys. So even the transmission layer from app to reader is encrypted, and then the CIOS encryption takes over after that. The same is true on the wallet side, leveraging the secure standard of NFC plus CIOS. So in that respect, the veracity of the communication from phone to reader is actually more even more secure than that of just a CIOS credential on a physical card.
Yeah.
Great.
Can I just, before we move on to the next point, just want to say hi to everyone that's in the chat. We're getting lots of people in there. Hi to Subash, to Lionel, to Namdi, Abdul, Javier, Daniel, and Gregor, and Prit. I know, and Vipul as well. A couple of you guys have asked some questions. Thank you for those. I have got those, and we will get to those a little bit later towards the end. We want to keep the flow going. So hi to everyone. If you have a question, don't forget to put it into the chat. Stick a capital Q in front of it just to make sure that we see it. That'll be fantastic. Ian, back over to you.
One of the other major factors that we've got to look at with the differences between mobile devices and cards is battery life. So can you talk about how battery life is affected running mobile credentials on a phone, a typical device, say?
Yeah, absolutely. So this again is a common concern, because now I'm doing more with my phone. Battery life is key to everybody's life, right? I actually have an older iPhone. I'm waiting for the folding iPhone. Apple, if you're listening, could you please release that pretty soon? But I have an older iPhone, and the battery is not as robust as it used to be. So I'm always concerned about battery life and where the closest charger is. So remember, now there are two different types of mobile access. There's the in-app that leverages Bluetooth, and there's wallet that leverages NFC. For the in-app credential, because it uses Bluetooth, and that's Bluetooth low energy, the low energy bit is important there. With BLE, the total consumption per day is somewhere between 2 and 6%. So in other words, if you leave your house with 100% and you get to the office and you did nothing else with your phone, right? And in an imaginary world where no other apps are running, it was just your phone and the HID mobile access app. At the worst case, you'd be down to 94% by the end of the day. So it's really not that big of an impact. And the difference between the 2 and 6% is based on utilization. How many times a day are you passing a reader and actually transmitting the credential? From an NFC perspective for wallet, the credential is only using power when you present it to the reader. So the battery impact is quite low. And the example I like to use here is with Apple or Google Pay. I'm an iOS user. I have every credit card in the Apple Wallet plus loyalty programs. I just went to go see the Rockettes at Radio City. My tickets were NFC tickets in the Apple Wallet, which was a fantastic experience. If you go to pay for groceries at the store with Apple Pay, you're never worried about like, oh, are all my credit cards in my wallet drawing power from the phone? They're not, until you present them to the reader or the payment terminal in this case. And even with that, it's a minuscule amount of power that's going to be consumed. So much so, by the way, that in the Apple ecosystem with Employee Badge and Apple Wallet and Student ID and Apple Wallet, there's a feature called Power Reserve Mode, which means that even if your phone battery is depleted for up to 4 or 5 hours, the credential on your phone will still transmit, which is incredibly powerful, because that's one of the other concerns we get is like, all right, well, what if I've used my phone the whole day and the battery dies? What happens then? Well, in the iOS environment, and this will be true soon in Google and Samsung Wallet as well, for 4 or 5 hours, you're still going to be able to transact. And also that is true for transit passes in Wallet. If you use like the subway in New York City, if your phone battery is depleted and you have a transit pass set up, that'll even work in Power Reserve Mode. So there's no cause for concern there. And then, by the way, lots of people walk around with their Apple Watch or compatible smartwatch. In the NFC world, in the wallet world, there's a credential actually on here, completely separate card number from the one on my phone, which means even if my phone is inoperable, I could still tap around with my watch as well, completely standalone.
So I imagine the iOS is working, the operating system is working by having a reserve power that when it reaches that, it will stop apps running.
Yeah, basically. That's like when you try to use your phone and you get the red battery icon, like you can't get into your phone, but the phone still has power. Like obviously it has power enough to turn on the screen and tell you don't have any power. Well, in the background, the wallet is actually still functional.
Yeah. And from what you're saying, I mean, if anybody's worried about device performance, they shouldn't be, because it sounds like the mobile access app or any other of the wallet is not really using much of the CPU of the phone to operate.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, it's just like another app. Like if we're talking about the in-app credential for a second, and not necessarily wallet, but for the in-app credential, the credential in the app works just like every other app on your phone. So like if you listen to podcasts, if you play Candy Crush, if you do anything inside of an app on your phone, which of course we do all the time, the credential in the app works exactly how you would think it would. And in fact, there was a long time where HID used to refer to this as a Bluetooth credential or an NFC credential, but that really only tells you the transmission methodology. It doesn't tell you anything about how the credential performs. When we started referring to it as an in-app credential, the goal around that was to make sure that people understood just through the name itself how the credential will perform. Oh, if it's a credential inside of an app and I want that app to function, well, that app should be running, right? So if I quit the app and bring it to a reader, obviously nothing's going to happen because the app's not running on the phone. And in much the same way that if you were listening to a podcast and then you quit the podcast app, your headphones don't know what to do anymore. So you have to go back into the podcast app, turn it on, and press play. The same is true with an in-app credential. Now, just because the app is running in the background doesn't mean you're going to have any impact in performance other than some minimal drain on the battery. So I want to dispel that rumor just right there. Like, you don't have to quit the app at all in order to have good functionality.
Cool.
And I suppose sorry, Rob, you go ahead.
No, I was just saying we're getting loads of questions here, guys. So we'll get to those shortly.
And I suppose the mobile device gives you the extra flexibility as well as using NFC and BLE. I mean, you've got the twist and go, so you've got a longer range. Rather than with the card, you have the only option of presenting it close to the reader. So you do get the added flexibility as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could go on and on about that aspect of it too, right? Because with a physical card, it's literally just that. You take it off your neck or around your wrist, you present it to a reader, the thing goes beep, the door goes click, and you walk through. With mobile, specifically with in-app credentials, now because we're leveraging Bluetooth, and Bluetooth can have a longer read range, we can do things like extending the read range of the reader. We get a lot of requests all the time for a long-range CIOS reader, right, for a parking deck application. It used to be in the Prox world, you could get that big old satellite dish HID reader and just kind of like get within a foot of it and you get the read. Well, with CIOS, because it's using a higher frequency, because there's more encryption, there's a lot more data passing, you have to be much closer to the reader. That's a physics problem, and we haven't broken the laws of physics yet. But if you want a long-range reader option, Bluetooth is a fantastic choice there because people can literally, like, I'm here in the Northeast, there's a lot of snow on the ground, it's cold out there. I don't want to have to open my window to interact with the reader. I could sit inside my nice warm car, wiggle my phone like this, and the credential transmits to the reader, the lift arm goes up, and I go through the door. Or I could have a widget on my smartwatch, which mimics the same thing. Or I can open the HID Mobile Access app and remotely tap a button to unlock a door. So there's way more options and flexibility there. From a wallet perspective, because it's using NFC, NFC as a standard is 10 centimeters. So you got to be within an inch or two of the reader in order for the credential to transmit. So you lose the long read range, but what you pick up is the ability to leverage the smartwatch, the Apple Watch in my case, as a preferred credential. So like if I go to an ATM, sometimes I will reach my arm out the window and just tap my wrist without having to get out my phone. And again, the beauty part with the watch, and you'll see this a lot on college campuses where students have student ID and wallet and they're using their watches, is this becomes their primary methodology. And by the way, this is tantamount to strapping your HID card to your wrist. Right, there's no losing this thing, so that's a nice benefit as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, we've looked at some of the benefits of mobile credentials over traditional ones. Well, let's look at the rollout of how to implement mobile access or mobile device credentials. Day-to-day management, device life cycles. Any high-level advice on what the best practices would be when considering rolling out this technology?
Okay. So this is again one of those things. You'll twist me up, and I can keep going. So rein me in here. But let's start with choice, because I think this is one of the hidden things. So it's not necessarily a myth or a misconception, but it is certainly, I think, a hidden fact, something that we should in 2026 talk more openly about. But HID has a large cadre of technology integration partners. So these folks specialize in building bespoke experiences for the credential for an end user organization. So companies like Swift Connect, Solo Insight, Shari, Smart Spaces, Cohesion, I could go on and on, Alert Enterprise. They all have their own secret sauce and special thing that allows you to take an HID mobile credential and stick it into another app experience. So I'll share a quick story here about 22 Vanderbilt. So 22 Vanderbilt is a building in New York City. It's powered. It uses mobile access in the wallet for this big old building right outside of Grand Central Terminal. To the user, the person with the phone, the person going into clock into their office every day, going through turnstiles, elevators, blah, 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 blah. They're tapping their phone or they're tapping their watch. They've got a completely leveraged wallet solution. But to them, they don't know that it's HID. They don't even know that it's cohesion. What they know is that they open up the 22 Vanderbilt app. And inside of that app, they can, on their way to work, see the transit time. So they get a feed from like, is the subway on time? How many minutes away is the train? How long to get to my next stop? The building has a coffee shop with ordering capability. So as they're on the train, they're ordering a latte. As they enter the building, they pick up their latte, tap their phone at the turnstile. It pulls the elevator down. They get in the elevator. It takes them right up to their tenant space. They tap the reader and they go through the door. Again, never having to take a card out of their pocket. And that is a wonderful experience. It drives tenants because if you're going to rent space in an expensive building in New York City, you want sort of like the premier experience. That's a premier experience. That's unbelievable versus just giving somebody a card and saying, hey, by the way, if you lose this, we're going to charge you $50 for it, which is what a lot of commercial buildings do in New York City. So that's like step one is like, how do you want to see this deployed? Is it okay to just take your plastic card, put it on your phone, either in an app or in a wallet? Yeah, absolutely. And we can most certainly support that. But if you want to take it to that next level, that's where the technology partners come in. Now, once you've made that decision, the most critically important thing, if you take nothing else away from this, it is this: communication, communication, communication. It is so critical to engage as many stakeholders that are going to have some level of responsibility with this, because this is not anymore a physical security alone in a silo project. This now is going to involve your IT department, particularly as you get to a wallet-based credential, because there's a lot more orchestration that needs to be done from an integration layer perspective. So you're going to want to bring in IT, you're going to want to bring in security, you're going to want to bring in facilities, you're going to want to bring in any third-party vendors that interact with your cards. For example, if you have Secure Print, if you have elevator destination dispatch, where I tap my card to a reader and it pulls the elevator down, we need to be talking to them as well. So you bring all these stakeholders in to set expectations, clear milestones, clear deliverables, and you'll have a wonderful launch experience. From there, as you're leading up to launch, you're communicating with the end user organization. This is what we're going to do. This is the new credential, whether it's in an app or in a wallet with training material in there. Hey, read up on this. When we launch it, we're going to have this new capability and it's going to be amazing. Then on the launch, you have a launch day, launch party, emails, signs in the lobbies, digital signage, whatever it is. Communication, 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 because you want to drive those early adopters to put those credentials and download those apps onto their phone. Because then through sort of osmosis, the other people who like delete those corporate emails, they'll see somebody using their phone at a reader and go, whoa, 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 how'd you do that? The more people you have with the credential on the phone, the more that FOMO is going to kick in. And then you'll see those adoption rates sort of spike from there. And then periodically continue to communicate that over the course of a year. If you do that, right, engage the stakeholders early, communicate early and often, and after launch, you're going to see your adoption rates peak at like between the 60 and 80%, which, by the way, I could already hear some of you saying, not 100%? No, not 100%, because you're always going to have holdovers. People that, again, tradition dictates, I still want my plastic badge. I'm just going to use this, or I'm a neophyte. I don't want anything on my phone, or I'm afraid of you putting something on my personally owned device, which, by the way, that is a common concern, but not as widespread as a lot of people think it is. And then you have people like my mom. I love her, but I'm not putting a mobile credential on her phone, right? Otherwise, I'm going to get the tech support calls all day long. So between 60 to 80%, I think, is a reasonable area to be in. Obviously, we have some organizations that are 99+%. And those organizations are the ones that communicated it really, really well.
Yeah, that's some good stuff there.
And just to finish off on that note, is there any other feedback from the real world that you've experienced that might persuade people that this is there's so much advantage to going down the mobile route that it is the way to go?
Yeah, I had another experience recently in New York City, a different building, 1 Madison Avenue. It's powered by a technology integration partner called Shari. And it was really interesting because they're leveraging both, like in that building, they're leveraging both wallet and in-app credentials because they have some tenants in the building that use in-app. They have some tenants in the building that use wallet. The base building uses wallet. And so they needed to find a technology integration partner that can incorporate both and then have their own bespoke app. So fantastic there. But what is a painful reminder for them is their experience with their visitor management system. So the building was deployed without really thinking about mobile, and they were just kind of doing the common thing of like, you know what, we'll just do a QR code for visitors. But they didn't think about or take into consideration the fact like certain things matter to property managers, like aesthetics. And when you have a turnstile that has that's beautiful and the reader is hidden, then you have this big bright laser beam that's shining. It's like it distracts from the eye. And then from a user experience perspective, you come to this big, beautiful, brand new building. The building's only been open for 2 years. High-end tenants, high-end clients coming in. And you give them this piece of paper, and then the QR code has to be positioned in a very specific way, and you got to bend it a little bit just to get through the turnstile. And then again, at the QR code at the elevator system, sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's painful. So from the end user perspective, what they really, really want to see is the credential experience completely obscured. The credential lands on your phone, whether you're a tenant or a contractor or a visitor, and you could just tap it at the reader and go through seamlessly. That's where I think everybody in the value chain wins. When we've abstracted away like what it is that I use to tap to a reader for the reader to go beep and click and go through the door, that's where I think the real value is.
Excellent. Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I think we've covered some really good points there. Obviously, there's so much more to discuss, and hopefully we'll get the chance to do that with Phil in subsequent shows next year. The best way to make sure you're around for those is to subscribe to the channel. So do that now, or sign up in LinkedIn, whichever platform you're. I think most of you are watching probably on LinkedIn. So make sure that you add HID to your LinkedIn profile, and you'll get notifications of all of the shows. And of course, we'll tell everyone about them, as we generally do. So we've had an absolute ton of questions come in. So I'm going to throw them into the room. And I'll probably start off with some quick fire ones so that we can just get these out of the way. So here's a question from Brent, who wants to know, does the app only work with a CEOS reader?
Oh, great question. Okay, so no, actually, and I'll expand on this. So going as far back as multi-class. So they're with the older multi-class readers, or what a lot of folks remember them as, like the RP10s, RP15s, RP40s, RP20s. On the back, actually, I have one right here. So this is an older multi-class SE reader. I got the screw on there. You can kind of see it, but there's a little metal chip. We call this the Bluetooth expansion module. Not every reader shipped with one of these. And if you want to upgrade an older multi-class reader to support Bluetooth for an in-app credential, you simply purchase the Bluetooth expansion module. Sometimes a lot of systems integrators refer to this as a backpack. You take the backpack, you slap it on there, you update the reader, firmware, put the mob key on it, and it's now compatible with an in-app credential. Should also note, by the way, that a lot of these multi-class readers, what we call the Rev E versions, or the ones that were manufactured within the last 6 or 7 years, 6, 7, for those for those who have kids, you'll get the joke. If they were manufactured in the last 6 or 7 years, they will support a wallet credential as well. They just need to have the reader firmware upgraded, have the mob key put on there, have some other values put on there. But these are actually more compatible with mobile access than a lot of people think. Now, that being said, Phil, I got to buy a backpack. I got to take the thing off the wall, put it on, update the reader, put it back on the wall. Isn't there a better way? Yeah. Signo. So Signo was designed from the ground up to support all mobile, Bluetooth, NFC, in-app, wallet. So one of the things that I know we're going to talk about next year, but I'll tease it here. Through HID Reader Manager, you can obviously update the Signo reader for its mob key. But, and this is a thing that not a lot of people realize, as a free service from HID, so no, can't say there's no such thing as a free lunch. Free feature from HID, if you just tell us what the key set is that you want to be put on the reader, we program it at the factory for you. So you order the new reader, it comes in factory loaded with everything that you need. And by the way, you can also say, like, I don't like the blue LED. I want the LED to be red and then to flash green, or I have custom colors that I want, or I want some other configuration on the reader. You tell us all of that up front during the purchasing process. We do it in Austin. We ship it to you. You take it out of the box, throw it on the wall, and it's good to go.
Excellent stuff. Right. Let's see what's next here. Dab asks, what are the prospects for physical cards over the next 5 years? Is this the beginning of the end for plastic cards?
How do I answer this and still retain my job? Actually, the data is showing something really fascinating. So when I first joined the organization about 3 years ago, there was a report from Omdia, which is an independent third-party research firm, that predicted that over the next 5 years, so, and again, this is 3 years ago, but over the next 5 years, the physical credential market was going to continue to grow at a clip of about 5%, where mobile credentials is going to grow at a clip of roughly 50%, so 10x. Now, that's fairly obvious because it's a new technology. Physical cards have been around for a while. So the prediction was physical will continue to grow, mobile is going to accelerate. If you look at the same Omdia research now, what they've started to see is the initial decline of the physical card. And the acceleration curve for mobile continues to ramp up, where the physical credential business is actually beginning to shrink. And this is why HID has put such an emphasis and investment into mobile, because we can see that this is where the industry wants to go, where end user organizations specifically want to go. So I'm not going to say like the death of physical cards, absolutely not. But I will say that there are more and more organizations signing up for credentials. I want to say at last count, last numbers I've seen, have nearly 7,000 organizations on board for some version of mobile access, whether that's in app or in wallet. So, and that number just continues to accelerate year after year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to rattle through a few more of these. This one from Prit. What if the phone is lost, but now someone is using it without connecting to the internet? How does the credential get deprovisioned?
Yeah, great question. So the challenge here is, let's say I'm terminated, and then I throw my phone immediately into airplane mode, so you can't take the credential off. And that is true whether it's wallet or in-app. If I can't reach the phone, then I can't pull the credential off. What I would say here is, remember, it's just a card. To the reader, when you present your phone to the reader has no idea that it's a mobile credential, if it's NFC, Bluetooth, whatever. I mean, it kind of knows, but it's still access control. So the credential transmits to the reader sends that information to the panel makes a decision as to whether or not the door opens or closes. So from that perspective, if I did throw my phone in airplane mode, the credential's been deprovisioned. I present my phone, I'm still going to get access denied. So there's multiple checks there. The beauty part is once you do take that phone off of airplane mode, the credential is removed. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about this earlier, but I'll just do it quickly here. We're all tied up. The number one question we get all the time, and I'm surprised nobody's asked it in the comments here, is around the visual ID badge. Well, what happens with my visual ID in the world of mobile access? And I'm not going to answer that question. I can, but in the interest of time, I won't. But what that tells me is that there is still a culture of and not just culture, but tradition of wearing this visual indicator around the organization. Because if I wear this visual indicator, it must mean I work here, except if I don't. And if I was terminated and you didn't get my card back, which you're not going to, I can now walk into your office and say, whoa, 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 hold that door for me. Look, 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 see? And the very piece of security that we're relying upon as this culture and tradition could actually be masquerading as risk. So with a mobile credential, on the other hand, could they throw their phone in airplane mode and then show the credential? Yes, far less likely than with a physical badge.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the controllers, the system that sits behind the reader, of course, and that brings me into another question from Brent. When upgrading a building stroke client from legacy HID, does the controller and card and software need to be replaced?
Oh yeah, great. No, it does not. So the only thing that matters in the HID ecosystem here is that you have a compatible reader. Whether that reader is wired for Wiegand or OSDP, or it's going back to a proprietary controller, we don't care. So long as the reader can see a credential, because again, to the reader, it's just a CIOS card at that point. So long as the reader can read CIOS, and by the way, that's also really super relevant if we're going to put a reader inside of a secure print terminal or inside of an elevator control system where you can't necessarily put a full-blown Signo-sized reader, and you're going to use something like an Omni key. Those Omni keys also need to be compatible with the CIOS credential. Something that a lot of people don't necessarily consider is that HID has, because we're part of the larger ASA Abloy family of products, and we've invested tremendously in our ecosystem partners, not just technology partners, but there are readers all over that are CIOS enabled. So whether it's in a secure print terminal or a wireless lock like Sargent IN120s or the PoE version of those, the Aperio version of those, cabinet locks, glass mounted readers, all of those things are compatible with the credential. What the system then does in terms of making the decision is completely up to the system, the panel, and the software. We do have integrations for the in-app credential with all the major players out there, and some you've probably never heard of. From a wallet perspective, Wallet does offer a transformative sort of business experience. So in that case, there are more integrations that need to be taken into account because we have to deploy that credential data in real time to all of the third-party systems. So that requires a bit of orchestration. But again, to the panels, to the pure access control software and system, we don't care. So long as it's a HID compatible reader, we're good.
Cool. Excellent stuff. Thank you, Brent, for your questions. There's been quite a few in here. I'm going to throw two questions up. They're kind of related. I think we've kind of covered it, so you might not need to go into huge amounts of depth here. Daniel asks, is Bluetooth or BLE less secure than other communication messages? I think we've already established that Bluetooth on its own is an open standard and therefore is technically less secure, but we use other things between that to secure things. And then the other question was, is it Bluetooth or NFC? If so, given a choice, which one would you lean towards? And maybe you can answer both of those kind of quickly.
Oh man, that's a great question. It like backs me into a corner. Which one are you gonna choose? Well, okay. So I'm gonna give you the stock Phil Coppola answer, and lots of people don't like this answer, but it depends. So to go back to Dan Stewart's question, yes, 100%. Bluetooth as a protocol is meant to be open. And by the way, in very much the same way that like people say, oh, Prox is insecure. Prox was never designed to be secure. That's where iClass and CIOS and Desfire, that's where they come in. So take that and put it in a different bucket. But Bluetooth is not a secure protocol necessarily, but it's how we lock it down that creates that virtual private network between phone and reader in order to establish that secure link. Now, Bluetooth or NFC, the reason why I say it depends is just like the example I used earlier of One Madison. One Madison at the base building level, at the turnstiles and the elevator control system, they went with Wallet because Wallet, and by its very nature, NFC, tends to be I don't want to use the word more reliable, but certainly the experience is there's less requirement at the end user level. Like I said earlier, a credential inside of an app means that the app has to be running. If you quit the app, whether it was by accident or on purpose, or you restarted your phone and now the app's not running, and you get to the turnstile, that could be a bit of a clunky experience, because then you have to remember, oh, I gotta reopen that app. And like I said earlier, what we really want to do is sort of abstract that all away. We want them to just get to the turnstile and be able to transact and go up the stairs or go up the elevator. So in that use case, NFC is a far better option. And also the NFC read speed is the same as a card. It's 200 milliseconds guaranteed, sometimes faster. But they do have some folks in their building, in their tenant space, that already leverage Bluetooth for their credentials. So incorporating both into their app was how they solved that problem. There are some organizations where the extended read range of Bluetooth is more preferred. There are some organizations that really like the smartwatch option. So it really depends. And what I love about HID's stance on this is we give you choice. If you want to use Bluetooth, here's an in-app credential. If you want to use wallet, here's modality with NFC. If you want to use both, use both.
Yeah, because I'd say from a user perspective, if I'm in a building that has, as you say, wallet at the base level, but my company uses in-app, I can use both.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes no difference as long as I remember to fire up the app.
100%. And by the way, just to double click on that, to use a term that everybody likes to use, it's not a binary choice. And I again, this is one of those things that I want everybody to remember. Number one, communication is key. Number two, you don't have to make this as a binary choice. It's not wallet or Bluetooth. It's not mobile credential or physical card. In fact, most organizations, especially now that are in the adoption phase, are migrating from plastic to digital, or are allowing it as part of a choice program. So here's your physical card on day one. Would you like a mobile credential? Oh, if you do, here's how we provision that, and here's how you use it. Great. And then now you have two. You forget your card, you still have your phone. If you don't want to use your card, you have your phone. If you lose your card, the card is lost. It's deprovisioned. We'll just default to the phone. And what some organizations are actually going to start to do, for that, for the sake of tradition and culture, here's a plastic card with no RFID on it. It's got your picture. It's got the company logo. It's a good indicator that you work here, but it won't get you through any doors. If you want to get through doors, phone, watch.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Gentlemen, we have run right out of time. Now, I apologize to Andre, to Namdi, and to Naveen. We haven't answered your questions. Namdi had a really long, multifaceted question. It's on the LinkedIn page. So, Phil, can you maybe follow up with those guys?
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten you. If you've posted it on LinkedIn, which I can see you have, I'm sure Phil will jump on there and give you some great explanations and point you to any data. So that's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed that. I've learned stuff, and I've been working in and around mobile access for about 13 years now. So even I'm learning new things. It's all good stuff. We will be having more content on the Learning Live streams next year, all around mobile access and other aspects of the implementation and the use of it. So do please make sure to subscribe to either the YouTube channel or sign up and add HID to your LinkedIn profile, and then you'll be made aware of everything. And also we have social media channels. We're on Twitter and Facebook and all of those things, and the wonderful Chloe always puts out adverts on those platforms as well. So make sure that if you follow on those, you follow HID, and then you'll get all that information. And if you've got a colleague that would benefit from watching this, and of course this is now stored forever on the internet, you can come back to it and show them, share the link with them, and get them to sign up. So we won't leave you high and dry there. Don't forget, you can also get in touch with us, training@hidglobal.com. If we can't answer the question, we'll throw it straight to Phil. I'm sure Phil will be able to answer. But if you have any questions about the training provisions of HID Academy and how we can help you, then please do get in touch with us there. And of course, you can find us at our website, hidglobal.com/training, and you can sign up to the Academy Learning Center and log into it directly from there as well. Gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for your participation, all your work in the preparation and the show itself, and to wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, everybody.
Same to you.
Take care. See you soon. See you soon, everyone. Don't forget to do that like and subscribe thing, and we'll see you next year. Have a great Christmas and a new year. Bye-bye.
Bye.